Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Dragon, back once again with another Dungeons & Dragons character conversion. Today we are looking at Charizard from the Pokémon franchise. Now this is actually the second Pokémon build that I have done. For the first Pokémon build, make sure to go to my channel, or maybe in the description where I might remember to put a link to the video. But I did Mewtwo as my first build because it was sort of easy. For the Charizard line, I am strictly doing this because, well, a few months back on Twitter there was a tweet. Someone thought that Charmander would have been a wizard in Dungeons & Dragons. And, of course, that got my, well, common sense tingling. And I responded, no, this is what Charmander would be, and then I gave a list that I will be using for this build. They tried to argue certain points, but I'm like, no, that would be this. That would be this. And I'll explain all those points that I made in a few seconds. But, of course, we need to start out with stats. I based my stats off of the game statistics of the Charizard line over on Bulbapedia. As you can see, speed and special attack are the highest stats. That means that Charisma is a 15, followed by Dexterity at a 14. Constitution is going to be a 10, Strength is at a 12, since it's a little bit higher than HP on the game statistics. And Wisdom will be a 13, it's not really that necessary, but it is still pretty much a good stats to have. And Intelligence is going to be an 8. They are merely monsters after all. Animals with special powers that they are born with. We are starting things off with Charmander, of course, since this is an evolution line. And Charmander, of course, is a Dragonborn, simply for that fire breath, which will give us access to Ember. Draconic Ancestry red, and we get that nice breath weapon attack. Now, I wanted to go with Lizardfolk, since the Charmander and Charmeleon and Charizard are not technically dragons, they are fire flying. As great as the Lizardfolk is, I needed to do something different. Thankfully, I had my answer. Tal'Dorei Reborn. If you all watched my video on the 3 greatest things in this book, you know that I absolutely love the mixed ancestry statistics that are in the book. What you can do is take a base race and then swap out certain features that you do not like from that race for an equal amount of features from one other race. And that is what I did. I took the Draconblood Dragonborn race, took out the one feature that really didn't make any sense within the Dragonblood, and gave the Dragonborn a natural armor from the Lizardfolk race, since they were roughly even. The natural armor, of course, gives us a armor class of 13 plus our dexterity modifier, which is currently a +3, making us a nice, healthy 16 armor class. And we also have a charisma of 16 as well, thanks to the ability score increases. Now, your Dungeon Master might not like this mechanic from Tal'Dorei Reborn, or just doesn't like Tal'Dorei Reborn altogether. I don't know why they would not. It is amazing. You get all sorts of great stuff. Again, make sure you watch that video to see what the best parts of the book are. And get the book too. It's a really good buy. Not sponsored. I don't get sponsorships. I've got 85 subscribers. Do you think I get sponsorships? Anyway, moving on to background. We're going to go with Gladiator, simply for the fact that, well, you fight for sport, for another being's amusement. So, yeah, Gladiator. Skills, acrobatics, and performance. Tools, disguise kit, and a musical instrument of choice. Doesn't really matter. Not really necessary. You also get the feature by popular demand. Alright, like I have stated, Pokemon are born with the ability to use certain powers. That is the Sorcerer, not the Wizard. Obviously, a Sorcerer. So, obviously, you'll be using the Sorcerer. Alright. Now that we got that handled, Sorcerer, what do we get? Starting hit points, 6 plus your Constitution modifier. We don't have much Constitution, so that's just going to be a plain old 6. Which makes sense, since we have low HP to start out with. Not a problem at all. Proficiencies. Weapons are daggers, darts, slings, quarterstaffs, and light crossbows. Not a problem, we're not going to be using any of that. Saving throws, Constitution, and Charisma, and skills go with Arcana and Intimidation. Your spellcasting ability is Charisma. And your Sorceress origin is going to be Pyromancy from Plane Shift Kaladesh. If you don't like the Plane Shift series, I would recommend just going the Draconic Bloodline. It's roughly the same thing, even though Pyromancy is much better. Pyromancy gives you Heart of Fire, which gives you a bonus to your fire spells. Sorcerer level 2 gets Fount of Magic, and level 3 gets you your meta magic options. Subtle Spell and Transmuted Spell. That way you can have more quote-unquote fire damage spells to go with your Heart of Fire feature. Now we need to talk about some of the important things about being a Pokemon in the Pokemon universe. And that is going to be your TMs and your Pokeballs. The TMs are given to you by your trainer, who has you in a Pokeball, and you do things that they tell you to do. That is a Warlock, like it or not. And more importantly, the Pokeball is going to be what seals the deal here. Grab the Genie Patron. For your expanded spell list, grab Ifriti. This is going to be important in a second. Your Genie's Vessel, the closest I can think of for a Pokeball is a stoppered bottle, but I'm sure you all can think of more accurate capsules. Bottled Sprite will let you retreat inside your Pokeball, your Genie's Vessel. That way you are safe from outside forces. And another Genie Warlock can be sent out. Pokemon joke. Anyway, next is Genie's Wrath. When you deal damage, you get an additional damage bonus of your Genie's damage type. Since we're doing Ifriti, we are doing fire damage. And I believe the extra fire damage is equal to your proficiency bonus. Or is it your spellcasting modifier? It's one of those two, I cannot quite remember. But anyway, you also get Pact Magic, which uses your charisma modifier. Sorcerer level 4 gets an ability score improvement. Increase your strength by 2, making it a 14. Level 6 sorcerers get fire in the veins. This will cause your opponent's resistance to fire damage to be ignored, which is very useful in some cases. Now that we are in the Charmeleon stage, I want to go over the Pokédex entry for Charmeleon. Pokemon Gold says, it is very hot-headed by nature, so it constantly seeks opponents. It calms down only when it wins. Pokemon Silver states, it has a barbaric nature. In battle, it whips its fiery tail around and lashes away with sharp claws. A barbaric nature and is hot-headed. That sounds familiar. Multiclassing one more time into Barbarian. This will give us the Rage feature, which will increase our melee attacks by a certain amount, equal to the bonus from our Rage. We do get an additional proficiency in shields and martial weapons, but that's not going to be necessary, and you'll see why here in a momentary moment. Level 2 Warlocks get Eldritch Invocations. Beast Speech and Devil Sight will work just fine. Level 2 Barbarians get Reckless Attack and Danger Sense. Definitely useful, especially for someone like Charmeleon. Level 3 Barbarians get a Primal Path. We're going with Path of the Beast, which I forgot to put in its features for some reason. But that's alright, I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about these features. You're able to, well, grow some natural weapons. You get sharpened claws, a bite attack, or you can have a pointed tail to stab your opponents. Very useful stuff in my opinion, and this is actually why we wanted to go with Path of the Beast Barbarian, because there are a lot of physical attacks with Charmeleon. One of the special moves that you get later on is known as Flare Blitz, which is a physical fire type move. And we are getting some extra damage from our Genie's Wrath feature from earlier. So that actually helps us with Genie's Wrath. This Path of the Beast, with the added damage, Flare Blitz, Boom Shakalaka. Also, Flame Charge is another fire type physical move. And I do believe you also have access to Fire Fang, a fire bite. Sounds pretty accurate to what we're building here. Moving on to level 8 Sorcerer. Go ahead and increase your dexterity by 2, making it an 18. And now we're going to go ahead and evolve straight away into Charizard at Barbarian level 4 with the Unearthed Arcana feat, Dragon Wings. Now this is why I stayed with Dragonborn and didn't base the build off of a Lizardfolk with the added Dragonborn race from mixed ancestry, because I wasn't entirely sure how it was mechanically. Would it still be able to get the racial feat of the Dragonborn if it was a base Lizardfolk? Or was it considered just the base Lizardfolk? I don't know. That's something you would have to ask Matthew Mercer and the creative team of Tal'Dorei Reborn. So that's why I stuck with Dragonborn and just added on features from the Lizardfolk instead of base Lizardfolk. Anyway, the Dragon Wings only give us a 20-foot flying speed, so it's not exactly overpowered. If anything, it's kind of underwhelming, since it's 10 feet less than what you would get normally from winged creatures, such as the new Evo-line, or the rewritten Aarakocra, which is 30 feet of flying speed. And at higher levels, the Genie Warlock does give you access to 60-foot flying speed, but that's only temporarily. Charizard's wings are forever, so that's why I needed to go with the Dragon Wings for this build. Now, again, like I've repeated in a couple of my videos, you do not have to follow my build to the letter. You very well could go with your own build for your Charizard. If you wanted to, you could go for a Lizard Wizard. It wouldn't be accurate, but it would be your own character. Anyway, moving on to level 10 Sorcerer, where you get another meta magic option. We're going to grab Distant Spell. Level 12 Sorcerers get an ability score improvement. Increase that charisma to an 18. And then a level 13 Sorcerer will give us access to level 7 spells, but that's about it. Go ahead and jump up to Warlock level 3 for Pact Boon, Pact of the Talisman. This will be our Mega Stone, the Charizardite. More specifically, Charizardite X, so we get access to Mega Charizard X, the cooler one. Now that we're done with the build, let's go ahead and go over some of the moves from the Charizard line. So we need to translate these into Dungeons & Dragons spells. So let's go ahead and see what is the most accurate choices here. Create Bonfire and Firebolt are accurate for the Ember move. Burning Hands and Aganaza Scorcher are very reminiscent to Flamethrower. Pyrotechnics gives you a smoke screen effect, so obviously smoke screen would be a good fit for that spell. Dragon's Breath would of course be Dragon Breath. Fear would be very reminiscent of Scary Face. Immolation would be perfect substitute for Inferno, and Firestorm works very well for Fire Spin. And also at later levels, you do have access to Flame Burst, which is a very good substitute with Fireball. And I've already gone over some of the other abilities that would fit well with some of the moves found on the Charizard line's move pool. So, with that being said, the recommended spell list I have for you is the following. For your Warlock spells, the cantrips Eldritch Blast and Poison Spray. Cause Fear would be another good pick for a Scary Face substitute, and Hellish Rebuke, just because it did fire damage. A Shadow Blade would be very reminiscent of Shadow Claw. You also get Mirror Image, which would be perfect for Double Team. For your Sorcerer spells, the cantrips Create Bonfire, Firebolt, Mold Earth, True Strike, Gust, and Minor Illusion would be good fit. First level, Burning Hands, Featherfall, and Shield. Second level, Dragon's Breath, Pyrotechnics. Third level, Fear, Fireball, Erupting Earth. Fourth level, Wall of Fire. Fifth level, Immolation. Sixth level, Investure of Wind. There are a few moves in Charizard's move pool that use wind as an attack. Gust, Wing Slash is not really one, but I couldn't think of much to go with. 7th level are our two main spells, Firestorm and Draconic Transformation, which emulates the Charizard X Mega Evolution. And with that, our build is complete. What did you think of this build? Were there things that you probably would have done differently? If so, let me know down in the comments section below. And until next time, this has been Drahan, and I am offline.